So now, let's proceed on another way of defining socio-economic class as cited by Gregorio Zaide in 2005 based on the Filipino society. Kanina, we define socio-economic class according to caste system in ancient India. So now, let's relate this concept in the Filipino society. So according to Zaide 2005, socio-economic class in Filipino society. So there are three socio-economic class in the Filipino society. These are the following: the upper, those Filipinos who belongs in the upper class, the middle, and the lower class. So these are the three socio-economic class that can be found in the Filipino society according to Gregorio Zaide. So when we talk about percentage, no, when we talk about percentage in the upper class, in the socio-economic class in the Filipino society, it only consists 10%. So napakaliit lang po ng porsyento ng mga Pilipino na napabilang sa upper class. No, napakamaliit lamang ng kanilang mga porsyento. No, maliit lang ang mga Pilipino na napabilang sa upper class. So, what are the occupations? What are the occupations? What are the occupations in the upper class? So, these are wealthy industrialists with big corporations kagaya nila ni Manny V. Pangilinan, yung nagmamay-ari ng Meralco, Smart Telecommunications, sa NLEX, no? So, napakalaking kumpanya niyan na pagmamay-ari ni Manny B. Pangilinan. At syempre, yung mga kuwangko ng San Miguel Corporation Group. So, sila yung mga ilan lamang sa mga Filipino elite na napabilang sa upper class. So, it only 10% of the total population in terms of socio-economic class ang mga Pilipino na napabilang sa upper class. Sa middle, 20%. No? 20%. So, anong mga occupations ang napabilang sa middle class? Yung mga professionals, yung mga skilled workers, yung mga semi-skilled workers sa mga nagtatrabaho sa mga opisina, yung mga factory workers, at yung mga farmers na because of their cultivation, no, sa nangmay-ari sila ng malaking lupain, ito ay naging bahagi ng kanilang pamumuhay at hanapbuhay. So, 20% of the Filipinos in the Philippine society belongs to middle class. Habang yung karamihan sa mga Pilipino, ayon kay Gregorio Zaide, ay napabilang sa lower class. So sila yung mga below poverty line. So yung mga nasa laylayan ng lipunan, yung mga Pilipinong naghihirap. Sila yung mga laborers, unskilled workers, yung mga walang trabaho, unemployed, no? These are 70% of the total population when we talk about socioeconomic class according to Zaide in 2005. So, ito ay isa sa mga datos na pag-aaral ni Dr. Gregorio Zaide base sa socio-economic class sa Filipino society. Let's proceed to Karl Marx. Alam naman natin kung sino si Karl Marx. We all know that Karl Marx is the founder of the ideology socialism, and of course in terms of government, so siya rin ang nagtatag ng prinsipyo ng komunismo, si Karl Marx. So, proposed Karl Marx proposed a socio-economic class that delineates the bourgeoisie and proletariat. So, I already discussed this one. If you have the subject Philippine Politics and Governance sa mga UMS during your grade 11, so siguro you can relate this one, di ba? The struggle between the working class, yung mga proletariat, sila yung mga factory workers. At syempre, yung mga factory workers, sila ay nagtatrabaho sa kanilang mga amo, yung mga nagmamay-ari ng mga pabrika, ang mga bourgeoisie. So there is a struggle, no? Nagkaroon ng conflict between these two side dahil mas yumayaman yung mga bourgeoisie habang yung mga proletariat ay naghihirap, no? And based on the idea according ni Karl Marx, so the bourgeoisie, these are the owners of the production, no, the monetary, land, and technological capital, and these people do not have to work yet they accumulate wealth. So dahil sa kanilang mga pabrika na sila yung nagmamay-ari, no, they don't necessary to work because they will always gain profit. So nagkakaroon sila ng kita dahil sa kanilang pabrika na kanilang pagmamay-ari. Habang yung kanilang mga workers, yung mga proletariat, no, ang kanilang ginagawa, they work and sell their labor power in order to survive. So nagpapakahirap sila, no, para lamang sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. So they do this one because it is one way of means of production, no? At wala silang kapakinabang kung tayo ay nag-uusap ng production dahil yung nagmamay-ari ng production ay yung mga entrepreneurs o yung mga bourgeoisie, yung mga owners, no? They do not own the means of production dahil sila ay nagtatrabaho lamang. Oh. The bourgeoisie is the class that owns the means of production, no, monetary, land, technological capital. So sila yung nagmamay-ari sa mga means of production na binanggit natin. To initiate the production of wealth, yes. They do not have to work since they gain money from owning and investing capital. So they invest their money, no, to have their business, and in that way, syempre gumagana, tumatakbo ang kanilang negosyo. The proletariat includes anybody who is not the owner of the means of the production. They must work to survive. So as what I said, nagpapakahirap sila para lamang in their own survival. In the system of socio-economic class, there is a difference, yes. No, makita natin ang gap, no, ang disparity, ang gap between the bourgeoisie at sa proletariat. So it's very clearly evident na nagkakaroon talaga ng gap, nagkakaroon talaga ng difference when we talk about economic and social status of bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Okay. So there are types of capital that we need to familiarize. So there are 3 types of capital. We have economic, social, and cultural. So economic capital, social capital, and cultural capital. So take note with that. So what do you mean by economic capital? So from the word itself, economic, it talks about financial resources that an individual possess. In example, your money, no, yung pera, yung kita mo. your personal assets. It could be your real properties. Then, savings, your personal savings. So, lahat ng yan ay kabilang yan sa tinatawag na economic capital as types of capital. Number two, social capital. So, bakit kailangan din ng social capital? Because it is very important that you need to have linkages. So, kailangan meron kang mga social relations. You need to establish connections. No? Because if you have this linkages, if you have this connection, it's one way that if you have your product, it's very easy for you to uh, distribute, no, to sell your product if you have strong linkages or connection. No, that is why it's very important to have relationships with your peers, with your friends, with your family members, with your teachers, with your fellow alumnus in your school, in your university, or in your college, and then employers and your community members. Sa pagtatrabaho, sometimes it could become an asset. Why? Bakit asset? If you have this social capital, especially if meron kang kakilala, no, meron kang kakilala, and meron tayong Filipino culture na yes, I will personally admit, no, if may iba na gumagamit ng connection. We call that one padulas, or may mga ganong bagay talaga, no, na kung may kakilala ka, kung mayroon kang connection, no, madali kang makapasok, especially sa mga government offices, no? Kung may backer ka, that is an example of social capital, no? Dahil you have already linkages, connection, that might be helpful for you in the future. So, swerte lang yung may mga ganon. Then, another capital, we have cultural capital. When we talk about cultural capital is a combination of knowledge, behavior, and skills that individuals acquire to demonstrate one's cultural competence, and in turn determines one's social status in society. So, example, the material capital, like the books, no? Yung mga books na ating nabasa, computers, these are all sources of knowledge, and this will be considered as cultural capital. And non-material capital, we have academic degrees, job title, religious title, and other social rules. So, social implications of socio-economic differences. Okay. So, I think that would be the end of my discussion. So, I have here a picture that I will show you in my PowerPoint presentation. The title of this picture is Living Along the Railways. No, in the Metro Manila area, there are Filipinos, our brothers and sisters, that in terms of their home, no, sila ay nakatira malapit sa mga railways. So, briefly discuss the history of the Philippine National Railways, its decline, and the efforts towards its rehabilitation. Alam naman natin na noon ito ay ginagamit as a source of transportation. Amidst these changes, describe how communities arose along the railways, explain the socio-economic conditions that lead these people to live in dangerous areas. So, but why is it that even though they are aware the conditions, the situations of living near the railways, Why is it that still these people decided to settle in this area? So you're going to include that one as part of your presentation, of your assignment, and you're going to write that one in short band paper. Okay? So you will just read this one. I will send this soft copy of my presentation in your GC. Okay? Are there any questions? Okay, so that would be the end of my discussion for lesson 2. Lesson 2 is all about cultural variation, social difference in socio-economic class. Goodbye and see you tomorrow.